Hello, welcome back to Too Many Books. My name is Sean, and today I want to talk to you about When a Stranger Comes to Town, an anthology from the Mystery Writers of America, edited by Michael Koryta and featuring a who's who of mystery authors, including Joe Hill, who I guess he's a mystery author, although it's not really a mystery story. But anyways, let's dive in. This is just the trade hardcover. I think it's the only trade edition out there. I mean, I'm sure it probably got a paperback edition at some point. This was published by the Mystery Writers of America. It should be pretty relatively easy to find on the secondary market if it's not still in print, although I'm sure it is. My edition actually came signed by Michael Koryta, courtesy of VJ Books, which is terrific. And I'm not going to lie, usually when I go into anthologies like these, it's usually pretty hit or miss. You get kind of like a 50-50 split, good stories, bad stories, probably mediocre stories, which I guess is more like thirds, but what have you. I'm not going to lie, overall, When a Stranger Comes to Town was really good. I mean, yeah, there are some duds in this novel, in this anthology, and I'm going to kind of flip through it and talk about each story as I go through. I have read this over the course of like the last month and a half, which is both a blessing and a curse when it comes to these anthologies, because it's easy to read a short story, periodically, but then looking back at it, I got to remember what all the short stories were, because it's been a while since I've read some of the ones in here. But let's dive in. First and foremost, it starts with the introduction of Michael Koryta, talking about how the quote is, "All great literature is one of two stories. A man goes on a journey or a stranger comes to town." This is an anthology entirely built around the concept of a stranger comes to town. Now, those strangers could be literal strangers. They could be variations of strangers. I suppose they're always strangers, but whether or not they're coming to town or they're a new neighbor or they're cab fare, there's all different variations on Stranger Comes to Town to differing degrees of success. But all in all, most of the short stories in here are actually really good. Solomon Wept, a very strong intro, opening story to this collection from S.A. Cosby. The stranger in this one being a mother who is now getting out of prison and wants a little bit of revenge pertaining to her child. And man, it's not a pick-me-up story by any means, but it is a hell of a read. Relative Stranger by Amanda Witt. This one, very kind of keen on the title. It makes sense when you read the short story. Deals with a nice little family living their life on their farm when a stranger arrives on the farm. And there is some very unnerving, almost home invasion style to this short story, but it's not afraid to rip the rug out from under you in such a good way. Man, it really knocked it out of the park. Seat 2C, Alifair Burke. This one, it was all right. This one, it's a elderly woman on a flight. She's a widow. And she's a very wealthy woman, used to going on this yearly vacation with her husband. Her husband has since passed. She now finds herself going on this vacation with a stranger sitting next to her. And, they hit it up. They hit it up with the stranger, and things go awry from there. It wasn't bad, but you have to suspend your disbelief pretty damn hard with this one. This was the first weak one, in my opinion. There's a very, very lazy literary device used in here, with the good old tell, don't show, in this, where there's an aspect, a physical ability that one of the characters has that is never hinted at prior to it being said in the short story. And then it just gets dropped on your lap. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, this character has this aspect, this quirk. And you're just like, where the hell did this come from? It's just, Jesus. Kohinoor by Smita Harish Jain. This is The Modesty Police. This is an India short story of a very, very nice gentleman's club with the Modesty Police coming into town. And it's all right. I mean, it's not the most memorable in my opinion. I don't remember too much about it. So I guess in that sense it is a little forgettable. Avalon, Michael Connelly. Oh, this was a good one. This is the stranger coming to town, in this one being a hitman. So it's a security guard, a Was he a security guard? I don't even know if he might have been like a sheriff. He was law enforcement on a little island off the coast of California. And, well, there is a mysterious man who comes in on the daily boat, the morning boat, and it kind of leads to a bit of chaos and a little bit of searching on the island. Pretty good story. Here's to New Friends by Jaqueline Fremore. Jacqueline. This one was good. Now this one, I mean, talk about red flags. You could see this is going from a mile away, but it's done with perfection. You still absolutely love the story here. This is once again a stranger on a subway, or this was a stranger on like a bus, some sort of public transport, overhearing a conversation between two other strangers, a young woman and a strange man. And well, there are a lot of red flags in this conversation. Let's just put it at that. And like I said, it's good. Room for one more, Joe R. Lansdale. Lansdale's always in for a good treat. This is no exception. The protagonist in this one is actually a stranger who encounters other strangers. He's going on his way, just trying to live his best life, and doesn't mind killing any hitchhikers to do it. And well, he decides to break into a house, only to discover that he's not the only one to have broken into this house. And man, they're all pretty much mystery stories for this one. This one crosses over into some horror. Man, it's good, though. Exit Now, Amelia Neymark. This is the Carney, I believe. This was the story. Yes, Fergal. A good old former inventor turned Carney. Or, not a geek. Geek is carnivals, but this is about a Carney who kind of comes to town, and he kind of uncovers a strange corruption scandal going on. He finds himself kind of pulled in a couple different directions. A 6-letter word for neighbor by Lisa Unger. I've never read any Lisa Unger before, but man, this one was good as well. The stranger being a new neighbor. A very annoying neighbor, by the way, but it's, you know, she's a very nosy neighbor, but she, you know, she's a lovable nosy neighbor who has a new neighbor who says he can fix some antiques, and this woman with her own issues decides to try to befriend the neighbor, only to find things go awry, and there's a little bit more under the surface than what would seem here. Despite being a short story, this one actually has one of the more touching endings in terms of the protagonist and her relationship with another character. That really, it shouldn't have been as touching as it is. Like, it had no right to be as touching as it was being a short story, but man, it worked well. Next up, we have Howard's Heart by Byron Quartermouse. This was another fare, cabbie driving Howard, his new fare, as he goes to meet his girlfriend. And it was all right. I mean, it didn't really have much mystery to it from what I remember, but like I said, maybe it did, and I don't recall. Perfect Strangers, Tilia Klebanov-Jacobs. What was this one? Oh, this was the armed robbery one. This was, for better or worse, the Chuck Palahniuk short story. No, it's not by Chuck Palahniuk. It's by Tilia Klebanov-Jacobs. But man, it almost read like a Chuck Palahniuk story. You know those chapters and those asides in Fight Club where Tyler Durden is telling the narrator how to, make napalm? Well, it's kind of like that. You have the protagonist who is fresh out of prison, who was instructed by his cellmate how to commit the perfect robbery. And, it's kind of like instructional like that. And I'm not going to lie, it had one of my favorite endings in the anthology. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but man, it was good. Do You Remember by Lori Roy. This was the neighbors in a house across the street. There's a little bit of trouble with that house, and it actually has kind of like generational issues, like different neighbors over the course of years having issues with that house. Assignment, Sheep's Head Bay by Paul A. Barra. This is the hitman coming to town. Hitman and his dog coming on a mission. Very fun tale. PFA, Person from Afar by Michael Koryta. Of course, the editor of this, he had to put his own short story in it, and I'm glad he did. This is another one with a nosy, annoying protagonist. Whereas Six-Letter Word for Neighbor by Lisa Unger had a charm to the protagonist, there is no charm to the the narrator here. She is just downright annoying, but deservedly so. It's kind of a character you love to hate, and her nosiness gets the better of her as she tries to ingratiate herself within the lives of her new neighbors, only to discover that, you probably shouldn't be doing that. Genius by Elaine Tugneri. This is a comedy of errors. The protagonist deciding that he is going to kill a genius, and, well, everything that can go wrong will go wrong. It's a fun tale. Rooskies by Jonathan Stone. This was a two-parter. I enjoyed the first part, which is entirely within a police transcript for an interrogation, as you figure out what the hell happened that put these two young boys in the police station. And then there is the second part, which takes place many decades in the future. I liked the first part. Second part, not so much. I felt like it could have ended fine with the first part, and you would have been good with that. A Different Kind of Healing by Steve Hamilton. This is the nurse. This is when the stranger coming into town is a patient coming into the emergency room, and this trauma nurse, who has some trauma of her own life, decides to take matters into her own hands for revenge on behalf of this stranger. It's a pretty good tale, not gonna lie. Tokyo Stranger, Tina, I put a tilde on the end of that. Tina de Bellegarde. This is a crime story in Tokyo. Very short story. It reminded me of the parts I enjoyed of Flashback by Dan Simmons, without all the parts I didn't enjoy by Flashback of Dan Simmons. And finally, the last short story, Last Fair by Joe Hill. This one does not fit in with the rest of them at all. I mean, it does in the sense that, yes, there is a stranger in terms of a character jumping into a cab. There's how two strangers meet. But it is not a mystery short story. It's not a horror short story. It's actually almost like a science fiction short story. I mean, there's definitely science fiction elements. There's lots of, kind of Roswell, New Mexico alien fanfare in here. It really read like a Twilight Zone episode. And I'm not going to lie, it's one of my favorites in the collection. As far as I'm aware, it's only available in When a Stranger Comes to Town, which is a damn shame. Subterranean Press did a standalone edition of Late Returns. What they should do is a standalone edition of Last Fair, because this deserves its own standalone edition. You could have some nice illustrations in it. You would be able to, have it stand on its own without having to buy the anthology. It would be a godsend for Joe Hill fans. So seriously, Bill from Subterranean Press, please make that happen. Last Fair, if you're a fan of Twilight Zone, you should definitely check it out. And that, my friends, is When a Stranger Comes to Town, an anthology by Michael Koryta. Like I said, as far as anthologies go, this one was a lot of hits, not a lot of misses. I mean, there were a couple scattered in there. But as far as anthologies go, man, A+. I loved it. This was, of course, written during COVID, which I think it was Seats 3C actually had kind of COVID references within it. But, it plays out well. It's definitely worth checking out if you are a fan of quite literally any of these mystery authors, or Joe Hill, and you want a good smattering. Or if you're, you never read any of these guys and you want a nice little taste of their different writing styles, whether it be, various mystery stories, science fiction short story, or a horror short story with Joe R. Lansdale, then When a Stranger Comes to Town is a good collection for you. So anyways, thank you guys very much for watching. Please consider subscribing to my channel here. I do at least one book review a week with plenty of unboxing videos in between here and there to keep you entertained. And we'll see you around next time.